Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for continuously clicking on videos of mine. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making it. Today, we're going to be talking about, is Survivor 41 going to be a good season or a bad season? So no, I don't actually believe the title, but I have heard some people who have been saying that, and I do think myself that the second episode was kind of a letdown purely because of the editing. I feel like we didn't get enough Ua and Luvu, but let's just get into it. I have all my notes down, and I just want to get right into it. But before we start, 72% of you guys who are watching these videos are not subscribed. Please, it's free, it's easy, do all that good stuff. Thank you, Skylander, for making my thumbnails continuously. And if that's it, let's get right into this video. All right, so here's how the video format is going to work. So I'm going to tell you a bunch of pros and a bunch of cons. We're going to alternate between pro and con because you guys seem to not like when I go all pro, all con because it puts you in a bad mood. And I get it. Like if you like a season and I go through 18 cons in a row, you're not really going to like the video. And so I'm going to go back and forth between pro, con. I will say at the end, there's more in one category than there is in the other. We'll just have to see which category that is. But before we start, what's your favorite season of all time? I'm just curious. This is today's question, and why? Mine is Kageyan or David vs. Goliath. It's kind of a tie, and I'll probably have to watch Kageyan again to really get a feel because I watched David vs. Goliath very, very recently. So that's mine. All right, so my first pro that I have is that the duds are just not there. The only reason that there's any like quote unquote duds and being those, for me at least, being probably Heather, Jeannie, and Erica, two of those on Luvu and one on Ua, is one because of the mat singing obviously going on at the Yase tribe right now. It's kind of hard to get them in for screen time, which I still don't give the producers any excuses because they did not have to show half of that stuff at Yase. But I also understand. But I think for me it's about bad editing. It's about bad editing, and that leads into my first con, which is that I think as far as Luvu and Ua go, the editing is not there, especially Luvu. Now I think Ua, we got the first episode with them, so I'm okay with that. But Lua or Luvu, we still have not gotten any sincere content from them other than Nasir screwing himself and then Nasir getting himself back to good. That's all we've gotten. And so we really, and then we got Deshaun going up the hill, and so we've gotten like content from Nasir, Deshaun, Danny, the first episode because of the sweat challenge and also him going to the island. So it's Danny, Deshaun, Nasir, the three guys, and we've gotten the most out of anyone on the tribe. Probably comes from, or any at least out of all the girls on the tribe comes from Sydney. And so I guess Sydney, and that leaves Erica and Heather. And as far as the Ua tribe, just Jeannie is not. I feel like that's not necessarily bad editing. That's more of them. I'm guessing Jeannie probably goes pretty soon because they and so they don't feel like they need to set up her story that well, because Jeannie obviously isn't playing the game very hard and she's not a very interesting character, and so they don't want to get us invested with her story. So there's no point editing her. So I'm okay with that. But as far as Erica and Heather go, unacceptable because I think they're here for the long run. Probably, I want them to be develop as characters, and I don't want to be watching the show if I don't even know who two people on the cast are. I mean, I do, but like the average casual viewer probably has no idea who Heather is at all. My next positive is that this could be a Matt Singh, and a Matt Singh usually always leads to good stuff. I mean, the only like version of a Matt Singh that I can think of that ended up like bad TV was maybe like I'm trying to think. Maybe like the one in Ghost Town, even though it wasn't a Matt Singh, it was just that same tribe. No matter how many times it got swapped, it always just did bad. So I guess it's the only version of a Matt Singh that went really bad. I mean, because you think Brain Tribe, obviously Kageyan. Philippines, Matt Singh, the original Matt Singh did great. Oolong, I think Palau's a pretty damn good season, especially towards the end after all the Oolong goes. And so I feel like those type of seasons where there is a Matt Singh situation, they usually end up good. And hopefully that streak will continue of having seasons that have Matt Singhs being really good and enjoyable seasons. I think it has something to do with the fact that you get so connected to this group, this like small group, and usually the small groups get at least far in the game, if not get all the way to the end, and sometimes even win in Denise. And so it feels definitely you definitely find a really easy person to root for, even if the people who are on the tribe aren't necessarily the best people to root for, like Cass and Spencer and Tasha. Maybe not like the as hero-y as like Malcolm is, but they were hero-y enough, and because they were underdogs, it was really easy to root for for Spencer and Tasha, and then Cass kind of made herself the villain. So yeah. My second con is that I think challenges have been pretty skippable this season. I mean, maybe you guys have seen something I haven't, but I feel like the challenges have been like if you really needed to skip 10 minutes in the episode, skip to the end of the challenges. Like if I had to, that's what I would choose. There's some seasons where the challenges are just kick ass every time. Like even if they're not like super memorable, even like the challenges in David vs Goliath, like they're the same challenges as these ones, but for some reason they just hit different. With these challenges, they just seem to be kind of like whatever. Like I understand we had the whole balance beam thing, and that I get like that challenge was better than the first episode challenge. But I think overall these challenges have been used so much now in Fiji that they are starting to get kind of old and very skippable. So for my next positive, I have that there's no like gigantic character. There's no character that's just seeping up all of the airtime for this pre-merge, like a Boston Robin in Marquesas, which I think overall could be good, but it has the power to be very very bad depending on which season you're on. You know, if a character in the pre-merge just sucks up all the screen time, and you because the pre-merge is the place to develop characters that will be here for a long time. So if you have someone just sucking up all the time in the pre-merge, it doesn't work. And I think that's why in Cagayan, they didn't really edit Tony that heavily in the pre-merge, because they knew that if they did, we wouldn't be able to get on Spencer's and Tasha's and, you know, get invested in Cass, you know, and get invested in all Sarah, all these people, if Tony had been as crazy of a character as he was in the pre-merge, as in the post-merge, as he was in the pre-merge. They need to, you know, they needed to not show him in a pre-merge in order for him to not suck up all this screen time. So I do think it's a positive that there isn't any gigantic character that's taking up all types of screen time. Obviously, it works sometimes, but it really backfires sometimes. And so overall, I'm willing to just not take the risk on one. My next negative is that there isn't really a big villain. There's no like gigantic villain that's popped out that whether it's like a pre-merge villain like a Peter or a Bradley, being Peter from Korong and then Bradley from Go Sound, whether it's like a pre-merge villain like that or like Ace, or if it's like a post-merge villain that starts to come out in the pre-merge like a Russell or like a Johnny Fairplay. Like there's no gigantic villain that's come out yet where it's like that's our villain, perfect. The person who we all thought was going to be is Voce, and look where Voce's at. So he's not here anymore. And the only other people that you think maybe could be villains would be like, I mean, Chantel, but in like a fun way, or like Ricard in like a fun way. I think maybe Sydney could get the Angelina edit, and Angelina's not really a villain, but she's definitely not like the most likable person. So maybe Sydney could get that, because her pregame stuff was very very negative. So maybe they could do that same type of editing, like give her that same type of edit to make her like up to be like this very petty and like socially unaware type of person. My next pro is Twist Island. I think Twist Island is a hit this season. I liked that they didn't even name the season after it, because they didn't really have to. I think they realized that there's no need to name it Twist Island or like Risk Vote Island or Extra Vote Island. There's no need to, because we know we'll name it ourselves. You guys focus on making good Survivor. You know what I mean? I think they realized that, and it's definitely a hit. I do think the only negative with this small thing is that there is a sense of like, I hope that you don't just get an extra vote every time you go there, because if that's the case, if it's the same wheel and you get the extra vote every single time, which it doesn't look like it's going to be. It looks like next episode there's going to be some sort of nighttime thing, and it's going to be for different advantages, which is good. But if it does continue like this, then you're going to have a very overabundance of advantages at the merge. And so I would like some of these advantages to expire maybe soon, like maybe like the extra votes that they got, like maybe Deshaun's extra vote expires in like 3 tribals or something like that, and so the next time that they go to tribal, he has to use it or something like that, because I just don't want to be the merge with like 4 extra votes, two idols, all of the idols from the war advantage plus like a legacy advantage. That's like 9 advantages, and then on top of that, an idol at the merge. I'm all good with that. My next one is, I mean, it's not really super important, but I don't like the whole I mean, I've never been a big fan of like the whole Survivor is a microcosm, like sort of agenda that Survivor tries to push. Because it's not. It's for me, it's a game, it's a sport. Maybe it's a TV show. Like I'm cool with all those. It's not like some microcosm of life, and I don't want to have to feel like I'm watching the news when I'm watching Survivor, because if I want to go watch the news, I'll watch the news. I'm not going to go watch Survivor tell me the news. That's not what I watch Survivor from. So this is definitely somewhere where I can agree with the person like Russell, who's saying keep the politics out on both sides. I don't want to see any of the politics. I mean, frankly, I'm cool with everything. I'll take just you as a player, and if that means taking out the politics, taking out the religion, taking out anything that goes with it, I'll take it all out if it means everyone's happy. As long as there's no politics, that's what I want. I just want no politics. I want the game to be the game, and that's it. My next positive is that the boots have been really unexpected. I will say the boots have been like, I've been surprised except for Abraham. The Abraham was it's kind of hard to add the Abraham boot in a surprising way. But the JD boot and the Boche boot, I have got out of my seat and been like, no, oh my god, like that, like exactly like that, like even bigger reactions. I don't want to yell at them like and damage your ears for years to come. But yeah, no, I've been very surprised with every single boot, and so I will definitely give them that. Is they're editing it in ways where I'm not coming out confused, but I'm also not coming out like, oh, I already knew that, you know what I mean? Except for the Abraham, but that's also not really their fault because it was a very obvious first boot. And so that's why I'm a big fan of premieres that have two boots, because usually the first boot is the boring boot and the second boot is like a lot more entertaining. And so I definitely think that another positive that I just kind of thought of in my head, not I'd never written down, was that they had a 2-hour premiere. I think that was a very, very big positive. A 2-hour premiere definitely helps the season develop and helps you get related to the characters a lot more in the first episode, so you don't come out like, wait, so who is that person again? I forget. You know what I mean? My next con is I don't like the breaking the wall. I liked it at first. I love like the shots that they did of the cameras, or like they're like continuously doing it, like with the shots like the camera. I love that, but it seems to be turning into Jeff just like, okay, we're at tribal council, like with the Yasi tribe. I think that's the most I've ever created. I think I said out loud, Jeff, stop, Jeff, stop. Literally, he was like, guys, okay, we're at the tribal council. Yasi's coming in. Oh my god! And like, it's gonna be a battle between tribe strength or lances. Here we go. Oh my god! Like, just stop, Jeff. It's so cringy. Like, I understand Jeff's trying to be like excited and like trying to like make it like a family thing, but like, I can guarantee you, there's full families who are just cringing and laughing at you right now, Jeff. I promise you, because I'm sure mine would if they saw that. So like, I think it's very cringy. I think it's reaching a lot for your demographics, and I understand that your demographics are everything, but at the same time, not being cringy is a big part of it for sure. And if it feels forced, and it's not going to feel genuine or get to your demographics, and so for that reason, I'm definitely not a big fan of this. Next one's a quick one. It's a positive. Just I do like the slow mo shots. Now I will say they are starting to dip into cringy as well. Like with Tiffany's slow mo shot, I don't think anyone's on Tiffany's side. Like I don't think anyone was like go Tiffany. I think everyone's like, please Tiffany, continue to suffer so they can vote you out. I don't think anyone's on Tiffany's side here. And so for that reason, I do definitely think that Tiffany. Giving Tiffany the slow mo shot, like that, really cool. I don't like it, but I do like when they're jumping off the boat and we get like the Xander slow mo, like that's really cool. Or like when they're diving in the water, we get the slow mo. Or like when they're walking up the hill, I'm chill with the slow mo to an extent, as long as it's not too cringy. And so I definitely do like that for sure. Like the whole slow mo and different types of editing, like more panning and like more like immediate cuts instead of like just us panning onto the island. It's just like immediate cut to something, or like like to or like the music in the background, like her humming in the background. I definitely like that type of new, like trying new things. And if that means that that's you're gonna do something cringy every like 5 times, I'll take it, because the other 4 things are probably super cool. Okay, and spoiler alert, my last con. So I have 4 more pros after this, or 5, and my last con is the beware advantage. I'm not a fan. I think it's way too unfair. I don't care if you tell them that it's gonna ruin their game. They're gonna open it, and when you open it, it's just not fun to watch. Like I like when the advantage is like someone like, oh, like I now have to work against this. No, like that's a game-ending advantage if you're Xander. Like I think Xander's gonna have such an uphill battle, and it's all because he opened up a note. Now I do appreciate Survivor for at least saying that, hey, like this is gonna be a negative thing in there, but there'll also be a positive. Make your choice. But even then, I just don't want this in the game at all, because if someone takes it, now their game is ruined, and I don't want anyone's game to be ruined. I like to have everyone have an equal shot to an extent, and so to see someone's game be like essentially ruined is very mixed bag for me. My next pro is that there really isn't like someone who's, oh my god, they're a full hero, or oh, they're just a villain. These people are very complex, like multi-level characters that have flaws in themselves, but are also just genuinely nice people. And like no one's like a bad person. Like there's no Ryden Heidick on this season. Like there's no genuine like just terrible person on the season. And there's also no genuine like absolute Superman like JT person on the season. And that's honestly how I like my casting to be, where I want everyone to be multi-level and very complex, because those are the characters that you can relate to. Everyone has flawed. In my personal opinion, everyone's naturally selfish. Everyone's naturally going to do bad things. That's just how humans work. And so to see someone on the TV who represents that is definitely a lot more realistic for me than someone like a JT who's always a hero, or someone like a Brian Haddock who's just a terrible person. My next one is that Jeff genuinely seems excited to host. Now, I've talked at length on the channel about how Jeff, may start to fall off as far as hosting after season 50, and also how Jeff as a host versus Jeff as a producer are two very different things with very different outcomes, and in my opinion, very different levels of success. But overall, as a host, Jeff is super elated, and I think that's good. Now, how that goes into the work is, as I said earlier, sometimes it's very cringe, sometimes it's very, very cool and epic. So, it's very, very nice to see a host that's invested in the show nonetheless, because that's really what you want, is that the people who are making the show genuinely want to make the show. It's, everything's going to be okay, whether it becomes out cringe the first time, comes out really cool the first time. In the end, it's going to be okay if everyone genuinely wants to make a show. From what I hear about Big Brother, although I've seen a season of Big Brother, like a season or two. But like overall, what I'm hearing about Big Brother recently is that the people who are making the show just generally seem like tired of the show, and I just don't feel like that's the case with Survivor. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you watch Big Brother, but from what I'm hearing, the people who want to make the show just like don't really seem like they're really invested or like really have fun making the show. Survivor and all the producers and all the cameramen, they generally seem like they're having fun out there, like making the show, and they generally want to make the show for as long as possible. And my last one is the shot in the dark. I love this. I think it's balanced because you only get one per season. I think it's super balanced, and I think on top of that, I think the chances are perfect because it's 1 in 6, meaning you can't bank on it. If it's 1 in 4, you can start to like game plan for it. With 1 in 6, there's no game plan. It is a literal shot in the dark. And then as far as what you lose your vote. I think honestly, if you use your shot in the dark, you should lose your any advantage you have for that round and the next round. I feel like sincerely, I feel like it's balanced, but I think it could be even more balanced. Like I think this is a great twist, and I think if they can balance it even more, I'd be okay with it coming back every single season. Like if they made if they made like one more thing where it was like, oh, like this is the caveat, then I would be totally okay with it coming back every single season. All right, so as you can tell, because I've had so many pros, it's obvious that this season is, in my opinion, it's on the more positive side. If you disagree, tell me in the comments. But hold on, the video isn't over. Now I want to talk about why, just a few things that factor into how good a season is. So first thing I want to talk about is the pre-merge or the post-merge going to be better. Then I want to talk about the stars of the season. Who are they going to be? Then I want to talk about if there's going to be a positive winner. And then I want to talk about who the fan favorite's going to be. And then I'll let you go. So the first one, I feel like this season's going to have a better post-merge. I think right now we had a really strong premiere. I think we'll have a few like episodes scattered in the pre-merge that are really good. But overall, we'll probably have some letdown episodes in the pre-merge, which is okay. The season does not have to be like David Goliath perfect. As long as it's like a top 20 season, I'm totally fine with it. And so for that reason, I feel like we're going to have some episodes that are kind of iffy in the pre-merge. I think once the post-merge gets there, this cast seems like a cast that will flip. That's not just going to vote out one tribe continuously over and over and over and over again. And I think overall this post-merge is going to be fluid, but not too fluid to the point where it's confusing for the editors to edit, like a game changer season or a winners at war type of season. Stars of the season. So I think we're looking at Sydney as one of the stars. I feel like Sydney is being set up for that Angelina edit for sure. And then I think as far as so I picked one from each tribe. So Sydney's from Luvu. I think as far as Ua goes, if JD can get out of that tribe, I think he is the biggest star of the season, period. If he can get to the post-match, I think he's the biggest star of the season by a hands-down country mile. And then I think from the Yase tribe, I think we're looking at Evie as the biggest star of the season. Now, I don't think she wins. I think she probably gets taken out because she's too big of a threat. She's probably like the Sophia this season, where she gets a big blindside, and whoever blindsides her, she's going to take control of the game. And I feel like overall you have 3 big characters, because I mean with Sydney, I think you have the possibility of like a very good character, like not necessarily a good player, but a very good character. With JD, you have a really likable person, like a human being, and then on top of that, you also have a very, very good player. And then for Evie, you have someone who's a very, very probably the best player out of anyone on the cast, or at least right now, other than maybe Chantel is pushing her. But right now, I think Evie has a more locked-in spot for the game than Chantel does. And on top of that, Evie's definitely a likable person, even if you did disagree with like the way she looks at maybe the world, obviously from her pregame interviews, stuff like that. I think she's overall definitely like shaping up to be a likable person, even if you don't necessarily like her, her way of looking at the world. I also want to point out, I'm actually surprised. I thought we get a lot of COVID content throughout the season, and I'm actually like happily surprised that we got enough in the pre-merge, and after that, we haven't heard about it since, and I'm sure we're not going to hear about it probably until the last episode, which is really, really good. I know I watched Survivor to get away from all that nonsense, and so to hear all that, negative stuff coming at me, it definitely would have been a downer for sure. And so I'm very proud of the season for not going in that route of, the world sucks. Oh my god! Like I like they're being purposely positive in order to make the vibe of the show definitely better. I'm sure there are people who were talking about it like in their confessionals. They just didn't put it in the show, which I definitely commend the editors for sure. So third, satisfying winner. I think with a winner, I think what you hope for in a winner is a winner that played well, that is at least multi-level, that is not just a hero or not just a villain. I think like a complex character, and a winner that got an edit. And so if those three things can come together, I think that clarifies what a satisfying winner is. And I think we have a few people right now that are setting up to have all three of those. I think if Xander wins the season, it's satisfying. Evie wins the season, satisfying. JD wins the season, satisfying. Chantel wins the season, satisfying. Brad wins the season, satisfying. Who else? Someone like I don't know about Sydney. She's kind of a villain. Honestly, yeah, no. Sydney win season, satisfied. Any of the guys from Louisville win the season, satisfied. I think the only people right now who don't have all three of those is someone like an Erica and a Heather. They're likable and they seem like good players, but they don't have the edit, right? And so, or someone like for an example, like a Genie. She's not a good player, and she also doesn't have the edit. You know what I mean? So she's missing two of those things. Or someone like, for example, or Ricard. He's a good player, and he's like in whatever this and that, but he does not have the edit. He has the villain's edit. And so if someone like one of the people that I mentioned first in that group of people can win the game, I think we have on our hands a very satisfying winner for sure. And I think that the fan favorites for the season, I have two of them. I think it's definitely JD and Xander. I think if either of them can make it out to the post-merge, I think whoever makes it there will run away with fan favorite. I do not think both of them are going to get there. I think one will probably get cut. I think it's more likely that Xander gets cut, which I'm actually okay with because I like JD more. And I think whichever one of them that can get to the merge is going to be a huge fan favorite, probably comes back for like a second chance when they inevitably lose. And I think overall, like whichever one out of those two gets there will be a gigantic fan favorite because they're so likable and they're actually good players as well. They're also multi-dimensional. Like we've seen bad moments, good moments from them, smart moments, dumb moments, and all around just they're like someone that you can really relate to as a character, especially JD in my opinion. And so tell me, who are your fan favorites? Do you think the pre-merge or the post-merge is going to be better? Who do you think are the stars of the season? Do you think it's going to be a satisfying winner? What are your pros and cons? Tell me all about it in the comments. And if it makes sense and it's not silly and stupid and I disagree with it, then I'll like it. Maybe I'll like the comment. And so I think overall with this season, they have a very complex season. It's not just a bad season or a good season. And anyone who said so is not watching the show with as much introspective view as I am, because I feel like I'm watching it from a perspective where I'm not trying to compare it to other seasons. I'm not trying to say it's the worst or the best. I'm just looking at season for what it is, which is it's a good season so far. Better premiere than the second episode, but that's usually how it goes if there's a 2-hour premiere. That's okay. And so for that reason, I think overall we're looking at a good season, definitely a top 25 season at least. I think its ceiling is going to be a top 10 season. And so for that, yeah, I think overall I've talked about the season in length so much. I think the season's only going to grow in our eyes. Thank you guys for continuously watching my videos. Thank you guys for continuously liking, subbing, subscribing, but most importantly, continuously turning on that notification bell and clicking on that notification that comes up at the top of your screen when I post a video. Make sure to share it with your friends if you have any Survivor friends. I know I have a few Survivor friends and they always love the content. And so if that's it, guys, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See you guys. Peace.